My name is Rachel. I'm 28, and I moved to the tiny lakeside town of Harbor Springs, Michigan, last November after my graphic design contract in Detroit dried up. I was burned out, freshly single, and craving the kind of quiet where the only sound at night is snow sliding off pine branches. I found a one-bedroom rental cabin on the edge of town. Wood stove, big windows, $850 a month. The first thing I did after unpacking was walk to the public library, a beautiful old brick building with a fireplace in the reading room. I got my library card in under 5 minutes. The head librarian, Mrs. Evelyn Carter, checked me in herself. She was in her late 60s, silver hair twisted into a perfect bun, reading glasses on a beaded chain, and a soft voice that made everything sound like a bedtime story. "New resident?" she asked, smiling as she typed my address into the system. "We love having fresh faces. Let me know what you like to read. I keep personal recommendations." I checked out my first book that day, a psychological thriller called The Silent Patient. I took it home, made tea, and curled up on the couch. When I opened the title page, a small yellow post-it was stuck inside the front cover, written in neat blue cursive. "Rachel, Chapter 3 is going to feel very familiar after what happened with your ex in Detroit. Keep reading. The ending will help. E." I stared at it. My name was on the checkout slip, sure, but the note knew about my breakup. I told exactly one person in Harbor Springs, the barista at the coffee shop, and even then I'd only said rough split, not the details. I peeled the note off, told myself it was left by the previous borrower, and kept reading. But the feeling stayed, like someone had been inside my head. A week later, I returned the book and checked out a memoir about a woman rebuilding after divorce. Another note, same handwriting, tucked between pages 47 and 48. "Rachel, the part where she burns his letters? You should try that with the emails you keep rereading. It really does help. E. I hadn't told anyone about those emails. They were still in a hidden folder on my laptop. I went back to the library the next afternoon. Mrs. Carter was at the desk, knitting a scarf in soft gray yarn. I showed her both notes. "Did another patron leave these?" She barely glanced at them. "Oh, sometimes people use bookmarks and forget. Just toss them, dear. No harm done." But the notes kept appearing. Every single book I checked out, fiction, cookbooks, even a gardening guide, had at least one. They grew more specific. "Rachel, the coffee stain on page 112 happened last Tuesday at 11:47 p.m., didn't it? You should switch to decaf. Rachel, I noticed you returned The Body Keeps the Score early. Nightmares again? I can recommend something gentler." I started inspecting every book under the fluorescent lights before I left the building. Clean. I switched to ebooks on my tablet. No notes. Relief lasted 4 days. Then the physical holds I'd placed weeks earlier started arriving in the library's curbside pickup bin. Each one had a new note taped to the cover in the same blue ink. "Rachel, I know you changed your Amazon password, smart girl, but I already read the order history you deleted. I never used the library computer. I never told anyone my new password." I stopped going inside. I used the after-hours drop box for returns and the online catalog only. For 2 weeks it was quiet. I started sleeping better. I even joined a remote book club, so I wouldn't feel so isolated. On a Tuesday night in February, I came home from the grocery store and found a book sitting on my porch swing. Not in a library bag, just a plain hardcover copy of You by Caroline Kepnes, shrink wrap gone. A note was slipped under the jacket flap. For your collection, I thought you'd appreciate the irony. Dis E-er. P. Your new deadbolt is pretty, but the spare key you keep in the fake rock by the garage still works. I never told anyone about that fake rock. I'd placed it there the day I moved in, alone. I called the non-emergency police line. Officer Ramirez came out, took the book and notes, and listened while I explained the pattern. He looked uncomfortable. We'll talk to Mrs. Carter, but she's been the librarian here for 42 years. Everyone loves her. You sure these aren't from an ex trying to mess with you? I showed him the security camera footage I'd just installed after the porch book. Clear as day. Mrs. Carter in her big winter coat, walking up my driveway at 2:13 a.m., placing the book gently on the swing like it was a baby, then pausing to adjust the fake rock before leaving. The next morning, 2 officers went to the library. Mrs. Carter smiled sweetly and said she had no idea what they were talking about. Rachel is such a sweet girl. I only ever sent her 1 book through the senior delivery program we offer shut-ins. Must be a misunderstanding. The police left with nothing. That afternoon, my editor at the freelance publisher emailed me. An anonymous tip arrived with scanned pages from my private password-protected journal. Entries about my breakup, my anxiety, even a half-finished short story I'd never shown anyone. The email suggested I might be unstable for the current project. My contract was paused pending review. I drove straight to the police station with the email. Officer Ramirez's face changed when he read it. They got a warrant the same day. They found everything in Mrs. Carter's basement. A whole room she called her reader files. Floor-to-ceiling shelves of labeled boxes. My box had my library card application, copies of every book I'd ever checked out, screenshots of my social media posts, printed MapQuest directions from the library to my cabin, and, worst of all, my actual handwritten journal, stolen during the 10 minutes I'd once left my bag on the return cart while I used the restroom. She had Polaroids of me through my windows, taken with a telephoto lens. She had a spare key to my cabin. She'd made it from the lost and found key ring I'd turned in when I first got my library card, claiming it was mine. The library's ancient checkout system still stored every borrower's full address, phone, and scan of their driver's license. She had been doing this for decades. Dozens of women's boxes. Mine was just the newest. She told the detective she wasn't stalking. She was mentoring. She said I reminded her of herself at my age. Same taste in books, same quiet sadness. And she only wanted to help me heal. She kept every note she wrote me in a scrapbook labeled Rachel's Progress. Mrs. Evelyn Carter is in county jail now, facing felony stalking, burglary, and mail tampering charges. She'd been opening my mail at the library sorting table for months. The library board fired her instantly and is auditing every patron file. My journal was returned. My contract was reinstated with an apology. I moved to a new rental on the other side of the county, changed my library card to the next town over, and now buy every book brand new. But sometimes, late at night, I still open a book I just bought from the bookstore and run my fingers along the binding, checking for that faint blue ink edge. If you ever walk into a small town library and the librarian already knows your name, your address, and the exact book you're going to love, smile, say thank you, and never leave your bag unattended. Because some people don't just read your stories, they decide to become part of them.